Well, your tractor won't start. Hopefully, it's a really simple issue. I'm going to go over some of the basics today on what that could be. Hey guys, this is Zach here from Kubota of Lynchburg, and today I wanted to go over some of the basics as why your tractor or your lawnmower won't start. Whether it's been sitting for a while or you were using it, whatever's going on, usually there's three main common problems that are wrong with it. Now there could be a wide variety of other things, but 95% of the time it's one of these three main issues. It's probably one of the #1 calls I get through the service department, or after we just delivered a new unit. And I get a phone call a couple days later, a couple weeks later, I was just using it and now my tractor won't start up. So the #1 thing I want to go over today real quick, because I don't want to make a long video out of it because you might be watching this in a field trying to figure it out, is PTO switch. If you were running a PTO implement, a mid-mount belly mower, a bush hog, a tiller, anything that requires the PTO to be on, that lever or button, there's multiple different variations, whatever engages your PTO. For an example, it's this lever here on the BX series. On some of the other tractors, it's a button or a lever back here on the right-hand side. That yellow lever, please make sure that is not engaged. You might have checked it once, double check yourself, make sure it's in the off position. That's the #1 reason why your tractor or lawnmower won't start back up. Because you hop back on, you're ready to go to work, and you forget that it shut itself off, or you shut it off with that lever engaged. Check that first, try to start it back up. That's your #1 thing. Other than that, there are some other more common things. So for example, if it's been sitting for a long time, of course the first thing to check is battery. If you don't have a battery tester, it's going to be hard to tell if your battery is good or not. You know, if you get clicking, but you don't get anything turning over, it's probably battery. Or if it really slowly try to turn over, you know, your battery is going bad. Charge it up, jump it, or put a new battery in it. If you're running in a field and it all of a sudden just dies on you, two things. It could be a fuse that blew, and also could be if it's been sitting for a while or something like that, or you just installed some extra accessories. You could blow a fuse, so check your fuse box. But one of the most common things I'll see is fuel-related issues. Leah wanted to make sure I mentioned, we had an interesting one. We had to disassemble the guy's fuel tank because he was losing power and then it would just die on him. Ended up being a bumblebee in the fuel. So he emptied it out, and right there at the bottom where the fuel goes through the valve, it was a bumblebee. They're attracted to gasoline and diesel. Don't ask me why. They must like the smell or fumes or something. But insects and overall debris, trash or plastic shavings, something like that, could clog up your fuel lines. So unfortunately, that's not an easy fix. You might have to empty your fuel tank. You might have to blow those lines in and out. If it's been sitting for a while, the tractor, again, you might actually have water in your fuel. So if it did start up and then it really starts to bog and choke down and not run great, there might be water in your system, which means you're going to have to take off your fuel water separator, drain your fuel system, put fresh back in it, and let it prime. If it's electric fuel pump, you'll basically have to turn your key and let it pump for 5 or 10 minutes to get fuel back in the fresh fuel back in the system. Check your battery, check your fuses, check your fuel, but your #1 thing to check right away is your PTO switch. Speaking of switches, some of your other options could be things like safety switches on your seat. If you got up and you got back down and now it won't start up again, it's possible that that safety switch went bad. It is just a little actuator in there. And you also have the fuses for those safety switches. If you have a hydrostat pedal or a zero turn, your handles on a zero turn or your hydrostat pedal on a riding mower or tractor also have a safety switch. So if you can't figure it out, it's not the PTO, it's not the seat, check whatever moves the machine. That always has a safety switch as well, and one of those might be bad. So, of course, getting into the diagnostics, call your local service shop, talk to the mechanics or the service managers, see if they can figure it out. But first thing, check that PTO, check your batteries, and check those common problems.